Situated some 70 kilometers northeast of Stuttgart, Galdorf is a natural flowing track. And it's a well-known venue as well. It hosted the German Grand Prix in 76 and 94, the Nations Trophy in 82, and the Motocross of Nations in 78, 85, and in 89. Stefan Everts had already claimed his third consecutive World Championship title 2 rounds previously in Poland, but the other top 3 places effectively tied up as well. Only a freak result could deprive Marek Berwertz on the number 2 of his runner-up spots. Germany's local hero Pete Beirer, number 7, of his 3rd place in the series. But that's not to imply that the top riders have lost any of their motivation. Well, before we get into the action, it's probably worth noting that next year's team lineups are now all but settled. The futures of Frédéric Bollé and Yves Demaria now confirmed. Next year I'll be riding with Stefan Everts, says Frédéric. It's not 100%, but maybe 80% now that I'll sign for Honda. Hopefully I'll sign the contract next week. Yves Demaria has agreed for next season as well. I'll ride a Kawasaki for Jan de Groot for sure, probably with Tortelli's teammates, so everything's okay. The Work Suzuki team, like several others, decided its rider lineup earlier this season, staying with their all-Belgian pairing of Marek Berwertz and Werner de Wit. Team manager Sylvain Gebers looks back on a season dominated by Stefan Everts, but holds out high hopes for Suzuki into 1998.
Having a Stefan Everts winning race by race and getting super motivated, and our rider being beaten race after race, so it ended up that there was a big gap in the championship. We would, as last year, we are second, but we like to be closer. So for the next year, absolutely, Suzuki is working very hard, and also the team is working hard. We will be much closer than this year.
Stefan Everts, quickest in practice, was concentrating on a good start for this penultimate Grand Prix of the season, perhaps thinking of beating his father Harry's record of 9 Grand Prix wins in a year. But the other 50 riders were all going to be a fly in the ointment. They wanted to finish the season on a high note too. As the barriers dropped, the field exploded into action, but there were problems early on. Marek Berwertz clashing with Yves Demaria, the Belgian being stuck in the middle of the pack on the first corner. Stefan Everts, the number 1, grabbed the whole shot from American Mike Brown, and local hero Pete Beirer on 7 was 3rd. Talon Boland, the American, only 9th, and Marek Berwertz 19th, but both of them still ahead of Frédéric Bollé on this disastrous opening lap for half of the favourites. A crash at the second corner had claimed the unfortunate Yves Demaria, as in Switzerland the previous weekend. The Frenchman not seriously injured, but this Grand Prix at least was ruined for him. Out front, Everts had now pulled out a little gap to Pete Beirer, the German second ahead of Mike Brown on 75, Leon Geispers, Joachim Carlsen, Werner de Wit and Talon Boland on 3, fighting back into 7th place. Marek Berwertz was up from 19th now to 13th place on the number 2 machine. Problems though for Miske Aaltonen, 3rd fastest in qualifying. He ran in the top 10 until his bike gave up. The Stefan Everts motocross masterclass was continuing. The World Championship clearly still in winning mood. Behind him, Pete Beirer and Mike Brown managed to keep in touch, still ahead of the chasing pack. On the fourth of 21 laps in the first heat, no change among the top three, but behind, Talon Voland on the number 3 machine continued his fight back up the order to fourth, ahead of Joachim Carlsen's number 9 Honda. A lap later, the American on the number 3 Yamaha was right with his countryman Mike Brown on 75. Further back, Frederick Bolle, the number 5, whose disastrous start had left him 19th after lap 1, was recovering. Here he passes Pierre Paget for 14th. Well, there can be no doubt about who was controlling the race, but Stefan Everts still had Pete Byrer, the local favourite, close on his heels. Talon Voland had had little trouble passing Mike Brown for third. Joachim Carlsen continued his fine run, the Swede in 5th. With 15,000 of his countrymen cheering him on, Byrer continued to pressure the leader. The German has signed with Michele Rinaldi for next season, and this demonstration proves that he clearly deserves a Works Yamaha. He and Everts were pulling clear of Talon Voland, the American unable to improve further. Mike Brown on 75 was now under pressure from Marnik Berverts on 2. The German spectators cheered Byrer to the echo as he tracked Everts around this fast and furious track. The Honda privateer already tasted victory once this season in Venezuela, and the crowd were inspiring him to try and repeat that feat at home. The roars of the crowd were soon to almost drown out the sound of the engines. Finally, one of their heroes' attacks paid off, and Byrer lunged past Everts to take the lead. But the groans of disappointment were equally as audible moments later when a mistake by the new leader allowed the Belgian to slip back in front. The young German wouldn't accept defeat, however, and kept up the pressure on the world champion, their battle continuing all the way to the flag. Everts is actually a month younger than his 24-year-old German rival, but the Belgian now has 4 world motocross titles to his name, 3 consecutive 250 crowns, adding to the one he won in the 125 category. Franzel for the lead. Talon Voland was third on the number 3 machine, his recovery complete. Marnik Berverts, whose magnificent ride had taken him from 19th to 4th on the number 2, right behind him. And Mike Brown on the 75, a good start, but fading to 5th place. 2 laps from the end, another mistake cost Pete Byrer a few yards, and the battle was almost over. He'd be unable to challenge Stefan Everts again before the flag, but at least he was under no pressure from 3rd place Talon Voland. So Stefan Everts happily claiming his 16th win from 29 starts, the Works Honda rider underlining his dominance of the 250 category this season once more. And Pete Byrer seemed quite happy with his runner-up spot, but Talon Voland had certainly hoped for more than 3rd.
A bad start, and I think in the beginning of the race I was the fastest rider. I come to beat Stefan and Pete, but in that moment I let my head get a little bit to me. It was my own fault. Bike was working good, so next moto I put that part out of my head and I go for the win. I feel I can win on this track.
So you finish again at the 3rd place. You a little bit upset?
Before I was happy, you know, coming back from injury, but now I'm getting tired of every time 3rd or 2nd, so I have to go for the win again. So next moto I go for it.
Like the first heat in Switzerland, Pete Byrer finished 2nd to Stefan Everts, but he was greeted like a conquering hero.
I took the only chance I had to pass him. I was very happy about the same lap. I made a little mistake, and then he passed me again, and I didn't know where I can pass him again. He was really fast. He was on the limit. I was also on the limit. It was a very good race, and I have to be happy with 2nd place.
Do you think it's possible to win the 2nd moto?
If I have another good start, I'm gonna go for the win, yeah.
Byrer's performance was acknowledged by Stefan Everts too, who'd worked hard for this win.
We pushed really hard. I think we was going same fast, and it was really difficult to keep the speed in 1st place. And knowing somebody is pushing you really hard and try to pass you every corner and every straight, so it was a really hard race for me. But I just wanted to win the race, and it's very nice to be the champion and still winning.
Is it interesting for you, that kind of situation, somebody who push out very...
Well, you know, it's very exciting for the people. We had a lot of boring races this year, and we really needed races like this, you know, really exciting. And I could hear the people, they were going nuts. They were cheering for Pitt, of course, and it's really fun.
So heat 1, Stefan Everts from Piet Buyra, Talon Voland 3rd, recovery complete for him and for Marnik Berverts in 4th.
Where better to keep a watchful eye on the daily issues of the world than in the world's daily newspaper? Pick it up today.
Out now, the one and only Rock and Roll Dance Party. 3 CDs packed with music history. The best rock and roll artists with top hits like Twist and Shout, Tutti Frutti, Great Balls of Fire, Wake Up Little Susie, Let's Twist Again, Back in the USA, and many, many more. 54 unforgettable hits on 3 CDs. A must for all rock and rollers and everybody who likes good music. Call now and get yourself a copy of this unique offer. Only available in these countries. This CD collection is not available anywhere else. Order this fantastic collection now.
See you later, alligator.
What is Mark Overmar's new club? Play and win a home theatre system, including a big screen TV set, an audio-video display stand, plus an amplifier and a set of speakers. You can also win Eurosport t-shirts. Call now. Good luck. This week's Eurosport follows the ATP Tour to the red dust of Spain for the Marbella Open. 32 of the best clay courters in the world struggling in the Spanish sun for ranking points, for a cut of the $328,000 prize money, and most of all, for pride. The Spanish influence is strong, but last year a German, Mark Göllner, took the title. Who will it be this time? The Marbella Open final, tonight at midnight CET, that's 11 UK time, on Eurosport.
At the age of 24, with 4 World Championships under his belt, Stefan Everts can already be considered one of the greats of motocross. Before the final race of the 97 season, he spoke about his 4th title and about his hopes for equaling his father Harry's record of championship crowns.
Well, something big, you know, I get an extra star, and I just equal my father's. I always looked up to him, and now I'm just going to be as good as he was. So that, for me, that's something really special.
Do you think your father is jealous?
I don't know, you have to ask him himself. I think he's more proud than jealous.
I want to have that he make double than me. It's normal, it's my son, and we do the best that he have more.
Harry Everts clearly very proud of his son, but the family doesn't live just for motocross. Stefan does have other interests.
Well, I got a few other passions, and especially, one of them is music. I really like music, and I try to play the drums as good as I can and having fun with that, and just buying other records and albums, and it just relax me so much.
Well, there'll be plenty of time for all that later, but for now, Stefan and the other riders have just one more race to concentrate on before the winter break. Piet Buyra, of course, carrying the crowd's hopes, but he'd again have to contend with Talon Voland, Stefan Everts, Marnik Berverts and the rest. Yves Demaria lined up on the number 4 machine for the 2nd heat, but he was not fully recovered from his first crash, and he'd retire after just 3 laps. The final start of the year, and Piet Buyra confirmed his determination to win by grabbing the whole shots to lead from Stefan Everts right from the word go. Byra and Everts immediately opened up a gap from third-placed Werner de Witt on the number 8 machine. He kept Finland's Miska Aaltonen, 21, and the Swede Joachim Karsel at bay. Byra was again showing the form that he displayed in the first heat, but keeping the lead would not be an easy task. The German was constantly under assault from Stefan Everts. Everts seemed to have the faster machine, but Byra was determined to hold on, and for the moment at least, the Belgian was forced to try and pressure his rival into a mistake. After a very average getaway, Fredrik Bolle on 5 had worked his way up into 6th place. That at least was better than Marnik Berverts and Talon Voland. They were 23rd and 25th after the first lap. Byra continued to defend his lead from Stefan Everts, the Belgian applying pressure at every opportunity. Third place Werner de Witt had managed to open up a gap of several seconds to Joachim Karlsson on 9. Behind the lap's number 53, Miska Aaltonen, 21, was 5th place, but the Finn would soon be forced to retire with a flat tyre. Courtesy of a miraculous effort, Marnik Berverts was now 6th ahead of Fredrik Bolle, and the equally inspired Talon Voland on 3 was hurtling up the field. As Berverts on 2 continued his fight back, Fredrik Bolle was defending 7th from Talon Voland, the American now right on his rear wheel. Voland will be joined next year in Team Yamaha Rinaldi by Pete Byra, while Bolle will team up with Stefan Everts, so we may well see repeats of this superb battle next season. For the meantime, though, the American and the Frenchman were certainly laying on the entertainment. Marnik Berverts on 2 had now closed up on the third-place battle, raging between teammate Werner de Witt on 8 and the Swede Joachim Karlsson on 9. The Belgian's Suzuki was clearly the fastest machine on the track, and although Karlsson took 3rd from de Witt, it was surely only a matter of time before the number 9 Honda would be left behind by the flying Berverts. This performance was a good way of finishing the season for the works Suzuki, boss Sylvain Gebers having retained the services of both Berverts and de Witt for 1998. Marnik must have been regretting his poor start, because it's evidence that if he'd made a better getaway, he could perhaps have won it. He'd have to be content with 3rd, clear of this continuing squabble between Karlsson on 9 and de Witt on 8. Eventually, it would go the Swede's way, despite the best efforts of the Belgian on his Suzuki. More than 5 seconds behind, Fredrik Bolle still held off Talon Voland. He would do this for almost all the race, and then finally let his rival slip by on the 6th lap, on the final lap into 6th place. All this was happening almost a minute behind the leaders, though. Pete Byra still holding off the desperate Stefan Everts. The German had led from the start, but Everts had been relentless in his pursuit of the home favourite. He'd been pressuring his rival in the hope of forcing an error, but in the end, he didn't seem to need that advantage. Seemingly without too much trouble on the 15th lap, some 5 from home, suddenly he'd found a way past the German. Everts was determined to win and claim his 10th Grand Prix victory of the season, to eclipse his father Harry's record of 9, which he currently shared. But he was to find his progress hampered by back markers who failed to obey the blue flags being waved at them. And finally, he was to collide with one as he tries to force a way past. That delay was enough to allow Pete Byra to surge ahead, to the very obvious delight of the crowd. A disconsolate Everts was in 2nd place, and he'd clearly lost his taste for the chase, rolling home a disappointed man. The German spectators were delighted, though. They cheered Byra, their man, on his way to not just a 2nd heat win in 1997, but also to his first ever 250 Grand Prix victory, and at his home race of all places. Byra, in turn, saluted the crowd, enjoying their delight, and Stefan Everts pulled up after the finish to salute the winner. But the world champion clearly found it very hard to conceal his anger at the incident that had caused him to lose what he considered should have been his win.
I was 2nd for the whole race, and I could manage. I passed Pitt on the end of the race, and I was kind of sure of my victory. And then we was going in the 2nd last lap, and I had some lap riders coming, and they showed them the blue flag because I saw the blue flag myself. And they didn't move over right away, and I had to slow down because they was not riding my speed. So Pit was coming closer. I got nervous, and they just didn't move over. I'm so angry on them that they screwed my GP. I was supposed to win the GP after that, and just really disappointed.
In contrast, Pete Byra was walking on air after his first 250 Grand Prix victory, adding to the 2 he won in his 7-year career in 125s.
It's a dream for everybody to win his home GP, and yeah, everybody expected me to do good here in Galdorf, but to win is another thing because Stefan is doing really good always, everybody knows. I tried really hard in the first heat, and second heat also, all the race I had a good speed, but Stefan was today maybe not fast, or maybe 1 or 2 tenths of a second, so he made the pressure on me all race. But also finally he made a little mistake which helped me to win this race, and I'm absolutely happy. Happy for the peoples here, very happy for my team. The last GP with this team, we win it. So everybody know that he's doing a good job, and yeah, just happy.
While Everts was pretty certain about what had cost him victory, Byra was not entirely of the same opinion.
For sure it was the blue flags what made him going nervous, but the mistake he made by himself, and I think one mistake all year is acceptable, so he did a great job this year. But sorry for Stefan, but I'm very happy to win my GP today on this way.
After a stunning fight back up the field, Marnik Bövert stepped onto the podium in 3rd place. Quite an achievement after his dreadful start.
I crashed in the 2nd corner, so I came from almost last place. And I came back to 3rd place. I was really happy with it because the beginning of the race with those guys who were on 20 place, it's really dangerous to pass because they are out of control sometimes, and you have to be careful. And then I hit a tire also, and almost a big crash. So I have to stay calm. And still, I came to 3rd place. I was happy with that, but I should like to win again because I'm in good shape again, and the bike is going good now. But it's over, so maybe next year.
Maybe indeed. Still, he made a great race back up the field, really kept the crowd's interest alive, as if they weren't interested enough in the battle for the lead. So Honda's 1-2 again, the order reversed in Heat 2. Marnik Bövert's the best Suzuki, Talon Voland's the best of the Yamahas in 6th.
Yeah, I took my time to pass him. It was not necessary to pass him right away. And just at the end, I started pushing really hard.
Also the whole race,
even during the press conference that follows each Grand Prix, Stefan Everts couldn't raise a smile, but his bad mood wouldn't last. Nobody could remain grumpy for long with the overjoyed Pete Byra around. And Byra winning the Grand Prix then. Marnik Bövert's 3rd for Suzuki, Talon Voland 4th, courtesy of his strong first race. The championship already decided 2 rounds beforehand in favour of Everts. The top 3 don't change. Sebastian Tortelli sliding down the order because of injury and only just staying in 4th ahead of Carlson. Honda winning the Manufacturers' Championship quite convincingly. Kawasaki 2nd from Suzuki.
In such an assembly, it was impossible for the heart not to dilate and expand itself. My own was often full, and I have seen a tragedy with less emotion than I did this scene of joy. Sicily, tourism, culture, and nature.
Spot the soccer stars of tomorrow. After the Under-21 tournament in Toulon and the Under-20 World Championship from Malaysia, it's the Under-17s in action in Egypt. A Eurosport hat-trick of top junior football. The competition is sky high. 17 different sports under one canopy. The first ever World Air Games. Breathtaking action in the skies over Turkey. Aerobatics, ballooning, hang gliding, skydiving. Flying high with Eurosport. The World Air Games from Monday, 16:30 CET, 15:30 UK, live on Eurosport. With Thompson and Reggiani.
So as the flag falls on another season of World Championship motocross, the teams begin to prepare for next year. So too do the riders and, of course, promoters, the Action Group. And they'll continue to concentrate their efforts on improving motorsport worldwide.
The biggest work will come still in television, because for next season we try to have live the Grand Prix in many stations, and you know, to make a bigger program, maybe longer, but also and much you know, diffusion on the world. This will be our